My name is Lena Cole. If you've heard my name before, then you probably already think you know who I am. To most people, I'm the woman who betrayed her husband, the wife who sold company secrets, the reason a powerful man almost lost everything he built. That version of the story is simple. It fits neatly into headlines and comments sections. The truth is harder to sit with. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to listen. I met my husband, Ethan Cole, long before the world cared about his name. Back then, he wasn't a CEO. He wasn't powerful or influential. He was just a man with a restless mind and an idea no one believed in. We met during a time when failure followed him everywhere. His ideas were called unrealistic. His ambition was called dangerous. Investors smiled politely and walked away. I stayed. Not because I was brave, but because I believed in the way he thought. Ethan didn't see limits the way other people did. He saw systems, patterns, and possibilities. When he talked about the future, it sounded real, like something already waiting for him. When he started Cole Dynamics, we had nothing to celebrate. No money, no security, just hope and exhaustion. I watched him work until he could barely stand. I watched him doubt himself, then push through anyway. Failure after failure, he kept going. And slowly, against all odds, something worked. One product led to another. One client became 10. Cole Dynamics grew faster than anyone expected. And with that growth came attention. Attention we weren't ready for. Success didn't bring peace, it brought pressure. The higher Ethan climbed, the more exposed he became. Every decision carried weight. Every mistake felt dangerous. I saw the change in him before he did. The sleepless nights, the quiet fear, the way he stopped talking about tomorrow and focused only on surviving today. That's when Rexon Corp entered our lives. At first, they were just another competitor, bigger, louder, richer. Their CEO, Victor Hale, had a reputation for being ruthless, but Ethan believed in fair competition. He believed that innovation would protect us. He was wrong. Rexon didn't try to beat us by being better. They tried to beat us by breaking us slowly. Lawsuits appeared without warning. Regulations suddenly became obstacles. Deals fell apart at the last moment. Everything was legal. Everything was exhausting. Ethan worked harder, slept less, smiled less. One night, after weeks of tension, he said something that didn't make sense at the time. "They're not going to come after me," he said. "They're going to come after you." I laughed. I wasn't part of the company leadership. I wasn't public. I wasn't important. That was exactly why, he said. "They underestimate loyalty," he told me. "They think it's predictable." I didn't fully understand what he meant, but I remembered his words. A few weeks later, I received a message on my private phone. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't dramatic. It was calm, confident, and precise. They knew who I was. They knew my routine. They knew what access I had. They wanted to meet. When I told Ethan, he didn't panic. He didn't tell me to refuse. He didn't tell me what to say. He simply told me to listen carefully. Meeting Victor Hale was unsettling, not because he was aggressive, but because he was relaxed. He spoke like someone who already believed he had won. He praised Ethan's intelligence, then dismissed it as irrelevant. "Intelligence," he said, "doesn't win wars. Power does." He offered me money, a life-changing amount, enough to walk away from everything if I wanted. In return, he wanted internal files, future plans, designs that hadn't been released yet. I asked him what would happen to my husband. Victor smiled and said Ethan would survive, just smaller. That was the moment I understood this wasn't about business. It was about erasing someone. I agreed to sell the files, not because I wanted the money, not because I stopped loving my husband, but because I realized something Victor didn't. He thought he was recruiting a traitor. He was walking into a trap. I accessed the documents quietly, carefully. The files were there, waiting, almost as if they had been placed intentionally. Ethan never asked what I was doing. He never questioned me. He trusted me completely. When Rexon released their competing products, the damage was immediate. Clients left. Investors panicked. The market reacted brutally. And then came the headlines. They called me a betrayer, a greedy wife, a snake. My face was everywhere, reduced to a story people loved to hate. Ethan said nothing. That silence was the hardest part. The world believed he was broken. They didn't understand that silence was part of the plan. What Rexon didn't know was that the files they stole were designed to be stolen. Every document contained digital markers and legal traps hidden beneath the surface. The designs violated regulations in ways that only became visible once they were used. Rexon didn't steal innovation. They stole evidence. The collapse came fast. Government agencies raided their offices. Financial regulators froze accounts. Investigations uncovered everything. Victor Hale lost control in days. Ethan spoke publicly only once, calm and controlled. He said innovation cannot be stolen, but arrogance can be exploited. Coal Dynamics survived, thrived. But my story didn't end with victory. I never got my reputation back. To the public, I will always be the woman who sold her husband out. People prefer simple villains. They don't want complicated truths. And I've accepted that. Because sometimes loyalty looks like betrayal. Sometimes love means being misunderstood. And sometimes the person who saves everything is the one history blames. This isn't a story about winning. It's a story about cost. And I paid mine willingly. That is the truth.